Yo, it's that shit, my boy. I like this. Yeah, cause I say that I'm up. Yeah. Yo, I'm up. Can I say that I'm up? Yeah. Check this out right here. Here we go again, people. The vibes is here.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your man Nighttime. I want to welcome all of you guys to Shooting the Breeze. I know that I'm a little bit late here. I want to try to upload every Wednesday and Sunday, but I was having some technical difficulties and that really prolonged me getting a video up. But this is my fourth video. As I told you guys, I want to talk about popular culture, music, some entertainment, hip hop, things of that nature, just really bringing some value to the conversation on just shooting the breeze. So it could be pretty multi-layered in terms of what I would like to talk about. Um, Today's subject matter is Charles Barkley basically indicating that he feels that it is embarrassing to have an NBA Cup. However, before I get into that subject, I want you guys to make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, watch out for that notification for the next Shooting the Breeze topic. I definitely like rocking with everybody. I'm enjoying myself thus far, but let's get into it. So today, man, I'm just gonna again talk about the comments that Charles Barkley made um, on a YouTube show. I can't remember the name of the gentleman's show that he was on, but I think he was on this show several days ago, and he gave his comments around how he felt about the NBA Cup. And pretty much to kind of paraphrase, he just felt that it's embarrassing that you have NBA players who have to be paid a significant amount of money to play throughout the regular season. And you have two sides of the coin, right? You have a lot of the younger players who feel like the OGs are jealous just because these young boys are making a bigger bag. They're catching a lot of money. And then obviously you have some old heads who are like, man, these dudes are entitled. They're lazy. If they're not, if they don't get anything, outside of their regular NBA paychecks, then they're not putting on a show and they don't care about the fans. So there's a lot of, I guess there's two schools of thought, right? Um, my school of thought is somewhere, somewhere in the middle. But nonetheless, I want to give you guys some of my pros and, some of my cons of really just what I think about this whole deal. So here's my thing. And what I'll do is I'll start with the pros first, and then I'll kind of give you my cons and my thoughts on um, my final takes of this whole deal. So one of the things is that when you look at the NBA, the cup was designed in part to make the regular season more interesting. They wanted to do things to make it feel more competitive, right? You wanted to have like the knockout rounds kind of leading up to a final. And again, it was supposed to provide a sense of urgency. And, you know, it comes down to playing for some significant prize money. And if you look at 2025, reports had indicated that the championship prize checks are over $530,000 per player. Man, that's a big ass bag. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. If I'm a player, okay, and maybe not some of the guys who are making, 40, $50,000, a season, but well, not I'm not gonna say a season, but guys who have maybe like a 40, $50 million contract or what have you. But if you're a guy, man, who's on the bench, or you're a guy who doesn't get a significant amount of time on the floor, and you have an opportunity to make over $500,000, man, you're going to be diving all over that damn floor. That's just a fact. They give you that kind of money to win. Hey, you're going to play hard. And I can't remember what the numbers are, like if you get like to the, get to the first round or what have you. But nonetheless, there's some prize money involved in each of these stages. Obviously, if you win, the purse is going to be a lot bigger. But let's kind of get into kind of one of the pros. And obviously, one of the pros is viewership. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the NBA wants to do. You know, they want to get more eyes watching during the cup. Some outlets kind of reported that U.S. viewership in a group kind of played, or I should say, topped about 40 million. So, and that's kind of year to year thus far since the cup started. And on specific nights, they saw noticeable bumps. So, for example, the NBA Cup broadcast window kind of noticed some increases. I think they had mentioned that an ESPN NBA Cup triple header averaged about 2.1 million viewers, and they reported that's up versus other comparable windows. So that's a bonus for them. And then even the NBA Cup Finals pulled in about 3.7 million viewers, and that was on Amazon Prime. So I think the goal, again, is to get more eyeballs on the regular season. And that's kind of what the data is showing. So it's working better than on normal nights of play. I said the second thing is the prize money. And I kind of talked about that before. The prize pool does matter. Again, a lot of NBA players are making, like I said, 40, 50, $60 million. And the reporting, again, that prize and that amount of money that you can make by winning, it's giving more incentive for kind of your lower paid players in the rotation to earn a bigger bag. And again, I'm not going to say that it doesn't give some of the top guys like a Jalen Brunson and some of those guys like Karl Anthony Towns, or um, players who are making more. But hey, 530,000 is 530,000. And then I even saw some stories of teams, kind of sharing prize money, staff and stuff like that. So hey man, if you're on that staff and you're able to get, some extra money to pocket, you're gonna like that. I say three, it kind of creates stakes in the middle of the season, and that's kind of something that they've been able to measure and show. I think the NBA regular season, it's a long ass season, man. I mean, you got 82 games. A tournament kind of gives certain weeks, and it kind of gives you a playoff like edge, allegedly, especially in some of those knockout games. So you have players, the crowds kind of are into it. They feel like it's a playoff like environment, and then the a winner advances type of energy, and that's kind of how a lot of the fans are responding to the game. All right, so those are kind of my three pros. Here are the cons, and these are my three cons, and also it's kind of linked to a little data as well. So if you look at finals viewership, so finals viewership is not consistently growing. So even though the final did this, cup final did about 3.7 million in 20 in this year, earlier ones had bigger numbers, like, 4.5, 8 million, I think, in 2023. And then I want to say 2.9 2.99 million in 2024, and then obviously this one that they had for 3.7 million. So to me, the cup, although it's nice, it's not automatically must see TV every year, especially depending on the teams, the platform, and also the timing. So it could kind of fluctuate a little bit. Also, the meaning is, I think, is a little bit problematic. It doesn't feel like real history. So you got to understand, man, this is a very new format, and a lot of people aren't being very, very receptive to the fact that this shit just doesn't feel authentic. It feels like anybody can get a trophy. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel it doesn't feel authentic, and I think that kind of goes to Barkley's core point. Players should already be motivated to play, and kind of adding a trophy mid-season can feel it feels kind of manufactured. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of diminishes the importance a little bit of the game. And I think some media reactions have really been blunt about that, and they feel like, man, this shit is gimmicky and it's just a money grab. Also, too, man, the money motivation kind of proves the criticism a little bit. So, and that's kind of the irony, right? The NBA Cup's biggest hook is the money grab, right? Which kind of feeds into the argument that Barkley talked about. So, you tell me y'all need extra money to take games seriously. Now, here's the thing, man. I'm not saying that players don't care. I think NBA players can be ultra competitive, but marketing the cup kind of leads to that hard incentive that kind of gives some credence to what Barkley's argument is that we have to give you guys extra money to play hard. So I don't know. Those are kind of the cons and my takeaways there, pros and cons. But let me kind of give you my takeaway. So here's the thing: I'm not a fan of this, generally speaking. I'm not. Um, I really don't like the idea that you need these extra stakes throughout the regular season to feel like it matters and to make these dudes play hard, man. So it just doesn't feel, again, like I said, it doesn't feel sacred. It doesn't have the nostalgia of going to the finals, going throughout the playoffs and getting to the finals and having an NBA champion. But I think you also have to factor in and understand kind of what the league is competing against in this new wave of sports entertainment. Because, I mean, we got to keep it a buck, y'all. This shit is a business, man. So you figure the NBA, they're competing against the NFL, their dominance. You're competing against people with, short ass attention spans, and also the low management debates. And also, there's fans that just don't watch the NBA really until April. And the numbers do show that with the NBA Cup. And I think the NBA Cup has shown an increased attention during those windows. So I think the league's goal is to make November, December feel a bit louder. Um, and the reality is they have made progress. Obviously, my problem is still the same, though. Does it actually mean this is going to change the culture of the NBA in terms of getting guys to play harder? I mean, obviously, there's some evidence that suggests that it helps, but is it something that's sustainable? And I think that's the question. So, right now, to me, um, it's still an awkward stage, it's still a work in progress. However, there are some people that do find it entertaining. Me personally, I'm not there yet, but again, that's just my perspective. I'm not the old man on the porch throwing dog shit at the new dudes. I'm just saying I understand the incentive. Hey, if you get more money, hell, get it. But at the same time, from a fan's perspective, for me. Also, guys in my age bracket, some of the older dudes, you know, how do you how do you sell this to them? So to make it feel more special. But again, man, that's just my perspective. Definitely would love to hear what you guys think. Um, is the NBA Cup embarrassing, like Barkley said, or is it exactly what the regular season needed to kind of help get things bumped up? Y'all tell me, man. Let me know your thoughts on this whole deal. Um, are you guys like, hey man, I love the NBA Cup. It's exciting. These young dudes are getting a bag. It makes it fun. Old dudes is hating. Are you somewhere kind of like in the middle where you're like, yeah, I watched a couple games. I get it, but I don't know. You have mixed feelings, or you kind of like on the opposite side of the spectrum where like you're like, man, I'm like Barkley. This is trash. It's embarrassing to the league. Let me know your thoughts. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Also, please don't miss the next episode of Shooting the Breeze. Until next time, this is your man Nighttime. We'll talk soon.
The words that I speak is power, vivid as cameras, aggression and ambition of low piles of stamina. The panorama's what I'm seeing up top, because the bottom it was covered with slop plus confrontational ops. The road ahead is possibilities, finesse your progress, the hit goes for memories. The tendency is stagnation, limited sensation, a lock is on, I know what a combination. Obligation, what you facing, but you be rarely chasing. Not even moving at a turtle's pacing, it's so problematic. The mental fog and the brain static, the able body damage kinda tragic. Now you fighting over Popeyes, dry skin looking cockeyed. Decisions that you make is rolling snake eyes. Can't even get a job at Five Guys. I guess I can't be surprised, procrastination is the thief of your time.